Hi, my name is Janet. I was born in America and have come back to Taiwan to rediscover my heritage. Join me as I explore hidden secrets and meet amazing people on Fun Taiwan.
A girl brought up in the US and having been to more than 30 countries all over the world, Janet Xie saw her dream come true when she was elected as the presenter of a traveling program for a Discovery Channel.
This is so exciting. I'm about to land on Lanyu, which is a small volcanic island located 67 kilometers southeast of Taiwan.
For the last 6 months, Janet has been all over Taiwan, learning everything about Taiwan along the way while trying to be an excellent presenter.
I'm not sure if it's because of the owls or my own superstitions, but I'm definitely not feeling well.
It was a job filled with tears and smiles, with fresh excitement, brand new experiences, and even with joys and sorrows. Not only the beauty of Taiwan, but also a sense of deep emotion is revealed through Janet's vivid presentation. Listening to Janet's experiences in Taiwan, one would find a new window opened, not only to Taiwan, but also to the diversified and fascinating cultural experiences that Taiwan provides her with.
Welcome to this week's edition of Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Chi-Chen Lo. We have a special guest today. She's the hostess of a very famous and popular TV program, Fun in Taiwan. And this is from Travel and Living Channel. And Fun in Taiwan is a TV program showing the beauty of Taiwan. Let's welcome Janet Xie. Janet, welcome to our program.
Hi, thank you very much.
So how did you begin to host a TV program? Do you plan to go into TV business?
No, absolutely not. I was actually studying to become a doctor, if you believe it or not. And yeah, I just happened to have an internship that allowed me to come to Taiwan. And in that process, I met, by chance, some Taiwanese celebrities who are also ABCs like myself.
Okay.
And through them, I just started doing some auditions for modeling, more than anything else. And that was about 4 years that I just did modeling. And then, so my grandma, you know, grandmas, they want me to go back to the States. And she said, study medicine, study medicine. It's better than being a model, doctor, model, doctor, model.
That's right.
And in the end, I was like, okay, I'll go back home. At that very second, I got a phone call that said, hey, do you want to audition for this show? It's, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's the Discovery Channel. Like, yes, I know the Discovery Channel.
Looks very educational, huh?
Oh, very, very. I mean, I love the Discovery Channel. So I was like, oh, of course, I'll go audition. And I went there, I had, I already bought my plane ticket back to the States. I really wasn't expecting anything. I went there, I just kind of said why I wanted to be a host and what I loved about Taiwan. And 2 weeks later, they called me and said, hey, you're the host if you want it.
Yeah.
And I was like, just pinched myself a little bit and make sure I wasn't dreaming, because this is really the best job I could ever ask for.
But what's the most difficult part when you began to hosting the program?
Well, a lot of things. Like, I don't have any TV experience. So, for example, the director would tell me, like, okay, we're going to take a close-up shot of you eating. So, eat prettily. You eat very lovely. And I was like, okay. So, I'd go, just eat kind of like fancy. He's like, no, that's not normal. Act a little bit more natural and eat slowly so that we can take the camera shot of you eating.
Yeah.
And so when he says eat slowly, I was like, okay. So I would go like this. Just really, really, really slow. So I mean, I started from nothing. I had to learn everything from the start, and I never realized that. For example, our show's 1 hour long, and it takes us 8 days to shoot the whole episode.
That's right.
Usually I'm just the viewer, and I sit there, I watch TV, and you just enjoy it without really thinking what goes on behind the scenes. So I guess that was the most difficult for me, just learning everything fresh from the start. But that was also the most exciting.
But during the TV program, you've been to many places in Taiwan. What's the most unforgettable places you've been to?
There are so many places. I mean, the reason why I came to Taiwan was because I wanted to realize and understand my culture. I'm Taiwanese, but born in America, and I didn't really understand Taiwan. And I have to say that the first 4 years that I've been here, I didn't really know anything about Taiwan. It was just Taipei. And after shooting the show, like, did you know that there's Aboriginals in Taiwan that eat rocks?
Already?
Yeah. there's Aboriginals that eat rocks, that use rocks to cook. You know, we have there's just so much culture. It's so rich here.
Yeah.
And so for me, the one place that really, really sticks in my mind is Orchid Island. You know, it's such a small island off of Taiwan Island. And you feel, when you go there, you know, you're surrounded by natural beauty. There's culture there. The food is great. You go snorkeling. You know, you have Aboriginals there mixed with some of the local Taiwanese culture. And it's just, you go there and you realize that's the essence of Taiwan. Like, Taiwan is so perfect if you think about it.
But you were born in the States and you've been living there for many years.
Yes.
And when you first came back to Taiwan, do you feel any cultural shocks?
Yes, definitely. I've traveled to over 35 countries, and the last place I thought I was going to have culture shock was in Taiwan. You know, everywhere I go, I've lived in Argentina and India, and people always kind of think I'm a local. You know, as long as I dress, you know, like the locals, I can kind of mesh in as a local. And I thought, okay, I'm Taiwanese, 100% Taiwanese. You know, I can come to Taiwan and I'll be just fine. As soon as I arrived, everybody's like, oh, atoga. You know, they're like, oh.
But you speak Taiwanese, right?
I only spoke Taiwanese.
That's
so
right.
I actually had a really great experience the first 6 months that I got here. You know, it was different. Everything was different. Some things were familiar, but yet still unknown. Like the first time I ever had 臭豆腐, stinky tofu,
that's right.
was at the night market. And I was just walking around and I was like, you know, I kept looking at my feet. I was like, what is that, you know, smell? I thought I stepped in something. And then finally they were like, oh, no, that's our stinky tofu. You know, and you translate it to English, stinky tofu, pig's blood, congealed rice. It just sounds really gross.
That's right.
But now I love it. I mean, those are some of my favorite dishes that I miss all the time. So it was those initial things that, the foods, the time, you know, in Texas where I'm from, you have to drive everywhere. Here, you can take the MRT, the bus, you know, taxis are easy, motorcycle, that was so convenient. I loved that.
Before you came to Taiwan, you must have some perceptions about Taiwan and what Taiwan should be. And when you came here and really find out what it is, do you see any gap between the perceptions?
My perceptions were more political, I think, because in the U.S., we hear a lot of just news. You don't hear much cultural things. Like, you don't know that there's a huge museum with, like, you know, beautiful artifacts, and you don't know that there's Aboriginal culture. You hear there's Aboriginals, but you don't really see them and interact with them. And like the food, you know that people eat, you know, duck tongue and, you know, pig's blood and stuff, but to actually eat it, I think that makes a huge difference. You know, for me to actually see those things and to experience them. And I think the biggest shock for me was actually just the hospitality of the people. You know, I expected people to be like what I'm used to in Taiwan, very, you know, family-oriented, very friendly. But when I got here, I was shocked at just how friendly people were. You know, I would, you know, because I didn't speak Mandarin, I would be lost. And I'd be like, you know, just ask the ayi next to me, like, I'm sorry, can you show me how to get to wherever? She would explain some crazy, you know, roads, and I wouldn't understand it. And so I remember she actually went out of her way to take me to where I needed to go. And, you know, and the whole experience was just wonderful. Like, I forgot that I was lost.
The Government Information Office did a survey, cross-national survey, asking foreigners how they feel about Taiwan. The first impression is hospitality of Taiwanese people. And the second one is great food.
Yes, I was just going to say, the second one is definitely the great food. Like I said, I've traveled everywhere, and Taiwan is the only place where I really feel like you can get almost anything. There's one thing that I miss here, which is Tex-Mex. You know, it's from Texas. But no, anything. You know, you have really high quality food. Like if you want a nice steak, you can get a beautiful steak. You know, fresh seafood. You know, sashimi. All of that you can get, no problems. And then the other end of the spectrum, you have the night markets, where you can get anything and everything. You know, I've eaten things like on the show. Actually, I had to eat tarantulas and ants, live ants, you know, so of course you have that kind of extreme. And then you also just have great street food, you know, and the best thing about it, I think, is that you can get it at 4 o'clock in the morning, you can get it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 24 hours. I mean, really, Taiwan, Taipei anyways.
We have too many convenience stores in Taiwan.
Everything is a convenience store. I love it. It's great. I mean, for me as a foreigner, I love it.
But some foreigners complain that it's kind of difficult to travel around the island. You know, the road signs are not very, you know, sometimes very confusing. Do you find it very difficult to travel around the island?
Well, if you don't speak Chinese, yes. I don't read Chinese that well, so I do have a lot more difficulty. You know, all the maps are in Mandarin. And, you know, if you can get to the main places, you know, if you want to get the big cities, that's no problem. But I think some of the really, really best places of Taiwan are the small, tiny little corners and, you know, the little alleys. Those are the interesting parts. And unfortunately, those, you have to know the Chinese.
That's right.
Either that or you have to know somebody who's been there, who can take you there so that you can go there again.
Yeah.
That is probably the most difficult thing for a foreigner living here.
You must have a lot of friends who are foreigners living in Taiwan. What are their perceptions about this island and, you know, this city, these people?
Everybody that I know loves it. I mean, there's a term called lifers. It's people who come here, like me. You know, I planned on coming here for 6 months. I've been here 5 years, going on 6 years. And I'm definitely not you know, I'm not a strange person at all because it's kind of the norm. You know, people come here expecting to maybe teach English or to learn Chinese. They maybe want to come for 6 months to 1 year and end up staying for their life because Taiwan just attracts a lot of foreigners that way.
Yeah, but the government has been trying to broaden or trying to boost our tourism market. You know, but to some extent that we have some difficulty in attracting more tourists coming to Taiwan. How do you know, what would you recommend to our government to do in order to attract more tourists coming to Taiwan?
Well, I'm very happy that I have my show. Like, honestly, showing my parents, like, they're born and raised in Taiwan. They see the show and they're like, wow, Taiwan's that pretty?
Yeah.
You know, so I think using media is great. And I think another way is just to be proud of your own island. Like, just Taiwanese themselves don't ever travel around their own islands.
That's true.
You know, I ask my cousins, if I can ask you, you know, have you been to Lugang on this street, you know, to do whatever? And a lot of Taiwanese don't or haven't. You know, they think, okay, to go somewhere to experience the culture or to experience nice food, you have to leave the country. And they don't realize that their country itself, Taiwan, is a beautiful island. Otherwise, why would the Portuguese call it Formosa?
That's right. A beautiful island, yeah.
Yeah, it really is a precious island. And I think locals, if they start to appreciate the island for itself, then other people will start to see the beauty in it too. Because you'll start to take care of it. You know, you'll start to, if you see something ruined, you know, you'll want to fix it. If you see trash there, you'll want to pick it up. And I think you have to start from that. You have to really love where you live. And then other people are going to start to see the beauty of that too.
That's right. But when you, you know, decide to go to one place to pick, you know, to shoot a program, what did you decide? You know, what are the criteria you pick in one place or one event?
Nothing really. I mean, when I travel, like I usually travel, you know, with a backpack, and the best way to get to know a place is to meet the people.
Yeah.
So that's how you really, really get to know, you know, a city, a town, you know, a country. And so the theme of our show, Fun Taiwan, is we go to a town or, you know, a county, and through the locals there, what, you know, their activities, whether it be snorkeling or, you know, picking up oysters or artists, we'll interview those people. And through them, like in my interactions with them, you see what their lifestyles are like, and you kind of get to know the environment, you know. Like in Hualien, we met the Aboriginals there who pick sansu. It's
sansu, it's kind of vegetable.
A vegetable
Yeah.
that only grows, I think, here. And to get to it, you have to climb, you have to scale the gorge, Toroko Gorge, to get to this tree. Yeah, nobody knows it because you just eat it, right? And so because of this interaction, by meeting this person, not only did I get to see how they live their life, I also got these beautiful views of Toroko Gorge that maybe nobody else has ever seen before. Because, you know, we're climbing up this 2-story tree, and, you know, you're looking down, and it's a completely different view.
Yeah.
So through that, that's how we get to know,
Yeah.
you know, every county, every city, and everyone is unique.
So you must have received a lot of positive comments about your TV program. Did the viewers ask you to go so many places to do the program?
I get messages on the blog. They're like, "Hey, you should come to my house," you know, because we interview ordinary, everyday people, which is, I think, the essence of, you know, a country or a place. And so it's just so cute, you know. Everybody, they're very encouraging, you know. They're like, "Jayo," and then they send me messages saying, "Oh, you should go here," or because of your show, after watching your show, I also went to, you know, to see the Wenchuan, the hot springs in Hualien or whatever. And to me, that's really encouraging because, you know, I feel like I'm actually sharing my experience.
Yeah. You are not very famous, or you're even a celebrity now in Taiwan. Does that make any difference in your life?
No, honestly, I feel like I'm just so honored and blessed that I have this opportunity that I don't even really consider it as like a, I don't know, like a celebrity or fame kind of thing. You know, on the street, I love it actually. Like on the street, people will come up to be like, hey, Janet, you know, and they'll talk to me like I know them, like we're friends. And it's happened so many times where we're on the street and they'll just start talking to me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, do I know you from somewhere? They're like, oh, no, but I watched your show. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. But it's just really nice. Like, you know, I guess the viewers, they see me as, you know, just a fellow travel companion. Yeah. And I think that's great.
Is there inconvenience that causes you?
No. You know, the most inconvenience, maybe you'll ask me to take a picture, and that, you know,
that should be great.
Yeah, I'm very willing. It's not a problem at all.
Does any government give you any assistance in shooting the programs and so on?
No. Right now, we're mostly just based on, you know, Discovery will hire my production company. But in the future, we're leaving the country. We're filming other countries, and hopefully we'll be able to get some support with, you know, maybe some other organizations and. You know, who knows in the future.
What will be the theme for next quarter of the TV program? Do you know?
It's also Fun Taiwan. We're going to continue with the same idea of Fun Taiwan, but now since we're leaving to visit other countries, it's going to be more Fun Taiwan Ren, so Fun Taiwan people. Yeah. So basically, we go to a different country. If you'll notice, there's Taiwanese people everywhere. You can go to Argentina, the very, very south end of Argentina, and there'll be a Taiwanese family living there.
That's right.
So our idea is to go around the world looking for Taiwanese people, and through these Taiwanese people, Huaqiao like myself, you know, American-born or Argentinian-born or Indian-born, and get to know their country, where they live, through the eyes of a Taiwanese person.
Sounds a very good idea.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully, I'm excited.
Yeah, you've been to many countries. When we come back, we're going to talk about your cross-national experiences and how that, you know, different or similar to Taiwan.
Okay.
Let's take a short break.